Hey, Naturally Glam fam, it's your girl Jonna, and this morning we're talking about a new survey that explores women's sentiments about their GYN exam, something that none of us really want to do, but we know that we should. And there's a recent survey that talks about everything from how women prepare for their appointments to the distractions that may keep them from having these important conversations with their OBGYN. So here to talk about that survey and help clarify some confusion on what types of tests women should be getting, I have Melanie Notkin. Please tell me if I'm saying that wrong. She's the author of the book Otherhood, and Aimee Holland, who's a women's health nurse practitioner and a member of the National Association of Nurse Practitioners in Women's Health. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it, Jonna.
Well, I'm excited to hear about this survey. So, Melanie, can you tell us a little bit more about the survey and what you guys discovered?
It was part of it is like hilarious. The other part is, yeah, I guess it's kind of me too. You know, we found out that before the appointment, 85% of women are like really thinking about what's coming up later that day. So they may, 7 out of 10 of them are spending a little bit longer in the bath or shower, like maybe even 7 minutes more in the bath or shower. And they're thinking about what kind of panties to wear. We found out that 8 out of 10 are wearing granny panties instead of lingerie, and which, by the way, I think is a little ironic because 4 out of 5 of us hide our panties. I don't know, John, you do that too, but I don't know why. It's not like the gynecologist or the nurse practitioner or any of the healthcare providers are interested in knowing what panties I'm wearing. I don't know.
I do. I hide mine. I'm a hider.
Right? Or you're a hider. There you go. You're a hider.
I am.
Love it. So, you know, and then I'm thinking, okay, it's winter. Maybe I'll be cold. So like 4 out of 5 of us are thinking about socks to wear. So we are really focused on prepping for this exam, but what we may not be thinking about, what we heard, is that the women are not thinking about the questions they may want to ask their healthcare provider. They're not thinking about the topics that are on their mind. They're not making sure that they know for sure that they're getting the screenings that they need, the pre-cancer and cancer screenings that they need for cervical cancer. So, you know, we may be thinking, I'll put myself in that bucket of all the other things that we're thinking about. In fact, do I have to go to the ladies' room before I get on? You know, I mean, right? So that's 79% of us are doing that. I'm one of those. I'm always running to the ladies' room right before the doctor walks in. So, but we're not necessarily thinking about the important things, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And Aimee, tell us, was there anything that you got from the results that caused you a little bit of concern? Like, well, ladies, we're really doing this wrong.
Yeah, surprisingly, as a healthcare provider, I thought women prepared by writing down questions and learning about their family history and what things should they try to prevent, such as sexually transmitted infections, cervical cancer, breast cancer. But no, they think about other things. They prepare differently. And women have good intentions, there's no doubt. But on the table, in the stirrups, oftentimes their minds are wandering, and they do think about things such as their sex life, but only 40% actually put it out there and ask their healthcare provider. So as a healthcare provider, that says to me, it is so important that I asked, what's important to you? What things should we talk about today? Let me tell you what screenings are due today. And since it's January, Cervical Cancer Awareness Month, Jonna, I'd like to remind women that it's important to have a GYN annual exam every year, and it is so important to have cervical cancer screening. I would also like to give a big shout out to nurse practitioners in women's health, HealthyWomen.org, and to Hologic for hosting this interview today so we can empower women and educate them.
Right. And
Perfect.
What we need to know, how simple it is, if women know that they can just ask for the PAP plus HPV together test. So it's 2 screens, 1 test. So
Yes.
it's not any more invasive than it usually is. But they'll be checking now, making sure that it's not just PAP, but it's Pap plus HPV together, because HPV is how the medical industry finds out whether or not we may have precancerous or cancerous cells, and it's no more invasive than your regular exam, right, Aimee?
That's right, and the HPV is a screening that we've added to the Pap test for women 30 through 65.
Mm-hmm.
The guidelines are still that women 21 to 29 will have a Pap test alone. But yes, you're correct. One sample, 2 different tests, no more invasive than if you just had a Pap test.
Now, I remember I've had that test before,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to say that my OBGYN, I want to say that she said that there's like a certain time, like you don't have to get it every year. You can get it like every 2 to 3 years or something. I'm not sure. I can't remember. Tell us, help clear it up, because I'm confused and I probably should know. I feel bad that I don't know better.
No, that's
so
normal.
Tell us, like, which tests we get, and do we have to get them annually, or is it that we can get them that test every 3 years? Of course, we're going to still get our annual exam, but how often do we have to get the test done?
Jonna, you're so normal, and I'm so glad that you asked this question. So, yes, women 21 to 29 need a Pap test every 3 years. Women 30 to 65 need a Pap test plus HPV together every 5 years. And to find out more about that, you can go to HealthyWomen.org. There's also a great app called Well Woman Visit, or the NPWH app, sponsored by Hologic, that can tell you exactly what you need at every annual exam, regardless of how old you are or how often you go to the physician's or your gynecologist's office.
And I would just add that there are no stupid questions,
Mm-mm.
right? I mean,
No.
you're probably not that original. You probably don't however crazy a question you get thinking. Your healthcare provider, you probably heard it. The appointment right before. So don't be shy. This is your. If you can have an honest conversation, tell your true story, have your real questions to your healthcare provider. Who can you tell them to? This is your opportunity.
Absolutely.
And what other tips do you guys have? And either of you guys can answer. What other tips do you guys have to just help women in general better engage with their healthcare professional? I know we mentioned, instead of thinking about, what color panties we're going to wear, we need to think about what questions we're going to ask, or maybe give us some tips on how do we come up with the questions. Because I think if most people are like me, I think of a million questions after in the car after I leave the appointment.
Always.
Everything starts coming to my mind. Oh, I should have asked her. Oh, maybe I should have asked about this. Oh, that's right, I did this. So, are there any tips that you have for like preparing the questions beforehand? So we kind of are, what do we need to think about to kind of get our questions together before we go to the appointment?
Write them down is what I would say. If you have a healthcare provider that genuinely demonstrates concern, they won't mind. They won't mind at all. And you may even want to, if we don't get to all the questions, you may want to send an email later on. But yeah, don't be afraid to ask the questions. It's the most important conversation you'll have every year is that annual GYN exam.
And for all the information, go to HealthyWomen.org, and maybe that will help you figure out which questions you need to ask.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you, ladies, so much.
Thank you,
This
Jonna.
interview was great. I learned a little bit, and I learned a lot. I learned a little more about
You're
what
smart.
I need to do. Let me not say I learned a little bit. I learned a lot.
Awesome.
So this is going to be helpful, and I really think it's going to help my audience. So I really appreciate you guys taking the time to chat with me.
We
Our
appreciate
pleasure.
you.
Thank you so much.